Well, here we are. Greetings, January 17th. And Angus Bushan entitles this devotion God Incidences. Like coincidences, you call it God Incidences. And now we have moved from Genesis to Exodus. In Exodus chapter 2, from verse 2 to 10, we have moved when Joseph is dead, and now we focusing on the character in the Bible called Moses. Exodus chapter 2, from verse 2 to 10, January 17th. The woman became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She saw that he was a special baby and kept him hidden for 3 months. But when she could no longer hide him, she got a basket made of papyrus reeds and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. She put the baby in the basket and laid it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile River. The baby's sister then stood at a distance, watching to see what would happen to him. Soon Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the river. When the princess saw the basket among the reeds, she sent her maid to get it for her. When the princess opened it, she saw the baby. The little boy was crying, and she felt sorry for him. This must be one of the Hebrew children, she said. Then the baby's sister approached the princess. Should I go and find one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you, she asked. Yes, do, the princess replied. So the girl went and called the baby's mother. Take this baby and nurse him for me. The princess told the baby's mother, I will pay you for your help. So the woman took her baby home and nursed him. Later, when the boy was older, his mother brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him as her own son. The princess named him Moses, for she explained, I lifted him out of the water. Angus Bushan says there are no coincidences, only God incidences. Moses was not raised in Pharaoh's palace by accident. God had a plan and purpose for every person's life. He puts men in the right place at the right time and equips them to do his work. I agree with Angus Bushan. God has a plan for my life. God has a plan for your life. It's interesting how many years ago, in 1996, I was appointed to work as a Salvation Army officer in Belize. And between my wife and I, we work at all the churches in Belize in 2 years. Well, there's only 4 churches. And, they had 3 main churches and 2 what we call outposts. So we work at all 5 of them. And knowing the social work of the Army at that time. And then having left in 1998, after spending 2 years in Belize, then we found ourselves back in 2019, which is 21 years later, back in the same place, but now in a different position. And I would say, having been here before, it was a lot easier to settle in to Belize because we had been there before. The experience was not so rough because we knew some of the people, we knew some of the places. And I find that is a blessing that God set up. His ways are not our ways, and it is mysterious. And we feel blessed to be back in Belize, doing something different on a higher level, but around people and food, the tortilla, fried jack, stew peas, these things, and to see the iguanas around, to see the rivers, to see the trees, really to observe nature. Belize is a place blessed with nature, and a lot of it undeveloped, unexploited, yeah. which makes it very natural and beautiful to enjoy and explore. And so it's interesting, and it's not a coincidence, but it's a God incidence that Pharaoh's daughter was able to look after Moses because it was preparing Moses to be familiar with being in the palace and familiar with dealing with people in the government, familiar, so that when he came back now as the deliverer of the Israelite people, he would be quite at home to represent God and speak to Pharaoh, because when he was growing up, he was living in the palace of Pharaoh. And but we often listen to this story of how Pharaoh's daughter saw this baby and in the river, and the little baby daughter, the sister was watching all this time, keeping an eye, and then she just interrupt. And this obviously was back in the old time days, because there will be a lot of security at Pharaoh's palace. A Hebrew couldn't just walk in the property. If this was today, we would have guard dogs and how many security. She won't be able to get in. But God has a plan. And even though the story sounds incredible, that she just was watching this thing all day long, and then she came up and approached the princess and said, well, there's a Hebrew boy. You want me to find one of the Hebrew women? And she was able to keep the secret quiet that this was her brother. And then she went to find her mother. And even when they were killing the other Hebrew boys, Moses' mother was able to look after him in her own house and then bring him back to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's daughter, and most likely she was sending some support, child support for the baby, not knowing that she is supporting the baby with his own family, his own mother, growing up with a brother and sister. It's interesting how God works how certain things. And I'm sure that if you look in your life, as I do, I can see how certain things maneuver. And you say, boy, it's luck. This is a coincidence. But Angus Buchan says, there are no coincidences. It's a plan of God. It is a God incident. Thank God for the God incidences that He allows to happen in our lives, in your life, and in my life, to get us where we are today. And let us continue to go forward, and let us trust in Him on this special day, January 17th. May God bless us all.